5, 6, 7, 8. It's a mess, sis. Oh, it's a mess.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. It's a mess, sis. So, what exactly is a mess? A mess is a situation or a state of affairs that is confused or full of difficulties.
The mess is when things don't go the way you plan. It is when you have to go off script, improvise, ad lib, sit through the awkwardness, and breathe through the pain until you come out on the other side, because you will come out on the other side. It is everything that makes life interesting and transformative. It is what we are here to do. It is how we learn how to be.
So, join us as we dive into this week's mess.
Oh, it's a mess, sis. Oh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to It's a Mess, Sis, this, my favorite podcast. I'm Jessica, and I am one half and co-host on this podcast, and I just want y'all to know I'm a mess. That's all I got for you. That's it.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Rena. I'm your other co-host, and I co-signed that she is a mess.
Wow. You're ridiculous. All right, cool. All right, y'all. Well, welcome back. Thank you for joining us once again. We are at episode 43, and you are joining us for the episode entitled, Are You Still Being Intentional? So we'll dive into that in just a little bit. But before we do, we have a little segment called What's the Mess? And I'm going to ask Rena, what is your mess?
Okay. So my mess is that I've just been in a really reflective state. I feel like I have just been locked in place, and all I can do is just watch.
Yeah.
Just watch how I move, watch how things unfold. Like I feel like I've just been observing myself. And I think a lot of it has to do with the retrograde.
Okay.
Um ish I've just been sitting there like, what is happening? You know?
Yeah.
And really asking myself like what I want. I think that's the
Yeah.
main thing that's come out of it. Like what do I really want?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really focused on building a relationship with myself
Yeah.
and leaning into things that bring me joy
Mm-hmm.
and that energize me. Like that's one thing I noticed over the last week or two is that my energy has been drained, and I'm trying to find the source of those energy drains. And I'll catch it sometimes when I'm in the midst of it.
Yeah.
And I'll just be sitting there. I'm like, this is taking up too much energy.
Mm.
So now I'm trying to figure out like how to stop it, because it's really all of it is emotional. It's not
Yeah.
even like physical energy. It's like something will happen. I'll get a phone call or a situation will happen, and it will just I'll just feel myself go, "Whoo."
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm trying to like pay attention to that. That's what I'm doing. I feel like the retrograde was like, look, pay attention. You want to do different, you need to assess your situation and
Yeah.
figure out, make space. I think that's another piece of my mess. I've been really trying to clear out space for what I want. I think that's it.
Mm.
That's it. That's it. As I talk about this, like my apartment's a mess right now. I have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things in this apartment, and some things belong to me, some things belong to other people, some things are
Mm-hmm.
things that I loved in the past, and I'm questioning if that's still true today.
Yeah.
So I am like, my affirmation for this whole week has been, I am clearing and I am prepared for what I desire.
Ooh, I love that.
Yes, and I feel like it's working. I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
really focusing on that. I feel like I'm very intentional with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been my mess. And like, it's not a bad mess, you know.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. It's retrograde said, sit down and sort through your mess. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you. I mean, that kind of goes into my mess.
Okay. Let us know. Tell us. Share.
My mess is that retrograde whooped my ass. That's really it. Like,
And just
I'm not,
pat.
I mean, seriously, I mean, it's very similar to what you were saying. Like I didn't know if I was sick or tired or sick and tired. It was like really
Probably
rough.
both.
And it was like, all of those things was kind of like, it's just like there was so much I feel like I needed to focus on, which is, really great because of what this episode is about. And it just was like, it was so heavy. I felt like there was so much I needed to wade through. you know, and I kind of look at some astrological like things, you know, like so the zodiac and all that kind of stuff. So I had seen, and I'm not like huge into it, and I don't know everything about it, but I had saw something that said Virgo, this retrograde is going to be heavy for you, and I was like, we'll see. And then, bitch, retrograde was heavy for me. And there's another Virgo that's with my roommate, and she was like, I just feel very similar to how I was feeling. I was like, wow, okay. I do feel like it was a sorting retrograde. I feel like it was
Right.
a clearing, a reckoning, maybe. Like there was so much, and I mean, it kind of tying into the topic, honestly. But it was so much that I needed to like really, excuse me, like focus on and really like come to terms with. There's some things that I have like settled with now. Like after I came out, I was like, okay, I need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I need to do that. I need to stop. And like you were saying about as far as energy leaks, that's something that has been in my brain for a couple of weeks now. I met a girl out here and she told me about this podcast episode and I listened to it. And it was talking about energy leaks and like the reason why sometimes we can't manifest or live the life of our dreams is because we're giving all this energy to things we don't want or doesn't serve us, that we don't. It's like little shit, like, okay, relationships that you're holding on to, or like the job that you're in. I mean, that one's an obvious one, I think, but it's like even these little relationships that are not serving you, you're holding on because you've been friends for forever, or, you know, there's an obligation to your family to speak this certain amount of time or whatever it is. And, you know, that is something I'm also sitting with. I'm like really coming to terms with what energizes me, what like is really where I like to be. Like in this episode of the podcast that I listened to, she calls it like a home frequency. What is the frequency that I'm at when I am without any other input? What am I like alone? What do I like to be like alone? What does that feel like when I'm in this happy, safe zone? And I'm really working on like honing in on that, because, you know, I feel like just because of how we were raised as women in general, we're raised as a more pleasing species, so we want to like do things for other people, and you know, even as I sit with my home frequency, I'm still saying in my head like, well, I don't want to be an asshole, I don't want to, but it's like I don't think with the intentions that I'm doing that it's going to be assholish. If that's the way you take it, that's something that you're going to have to work on, because it will never be meant from that place from me. But I am learning how to say, no, I don't think I want to do that. Like that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel fun. That doesn't feel safe. That doesn't feel joyous. That doesn't feel like my home frequency is very light. And well, I'm still sorting it out, but you know, I'm kind of like learning where I like to be. I love to be in this like really exuberant state. And even when I'm at rest, and I know that's kind of hard to like piece together, like how you're so exuberant and at rest. But even when I'm at rest, I want to feel this sort of elation. You know, when I'm driving around doing my job, sometimes I'm just high. I look around, I see the sun and I see the palm trees, and I'm just high. Like I want to feel that. That's my home frequency. And so I'm working on it. Like, you know, that's my mess, that I was just so utterly drained from thinking about everything that I had to do and all these ways that I want to be, you know. And it was interesting and a blessing, and I'm glad that I went through it. And now I'm kind of sorting through some shit. You know, I'm still sorting, but you know, it kind of gave me like a preview of like what needs to be sorted. So
I love that. And, you know, I had a question because as soon as you started talking about like, you know, how women are kind of conditioned, and I think society conditions all of us to be people pleasers and to encourage us to put energy in places everywhere. Like, it's like, oh, you got to be well-rounded. I'm starting to question that whole well-rounded piece. Like, I mean, I think it's good to have like a understanding of things, but the way I've that whole, like our episode about doing your best.
Uh-huh.
It implies that you have to do your best at everything, and it leaves out like kind of being intentional and prioritizing and saying, okay, I don't want to be my best at eating carrots because I don't like carrots.
Yeah.
So why am I pressuring myself to eat carrots and be
Mhm.
so great at eating carrots when I don't even like carrots?
Yeah.
I really don't like carrots, y'all. That's why
I see.
that's like so, but you answered it and by saying, it's never your intention. Like if people don't like how you're moving, that's kind of their thing. Like if you have to say, hey, for my energy's sake, I'm not feeling this, and therefore I can't participate.
Yeah.
And that it's never your intention to hurt anyone or to
Right.
discourage anybody. Your intention is to be mindful of your energy. So I was going to ask, how do you override that whole guilt? And you just answered that with being intentional. By being intentional, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Knowing your intention in everything that you do. So
right.
I have so much guilt about not putting my energy in places like you mentioned work. And I don't want to put as much energy as I'm putting into this, but I'm afraid to come off as a bad employee.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And that's the thing. It's like we've got to assert in ourselves what we will and won't do.
Right.
And I think once we do that, then our intentions can be pure, because
Right.
at that point it's not it's not intentionally that you're being a bad employee. It's like, this is what I can do for you. If you are willing, and you have to be willing for whatever that sacrifice looks like. If that means they're like, okay, well, we can't have you on, then you're like, that's fine. I will find another place of employment that will accept what I can give. That's the thing too. Like, I think a lot of times we settle because we're not willing for what the sacrifice is going to take to get you to your home frequently, because we're not there yet. So for me, it's like, for sure, I have been more intentional about telling people my communication style. I do not reach out to people most of the time, and that is not
a slight to them.
It's not a slight to them. It's not oh, I don't think about you, or oh, I think I'm better than you. It's just my energy reaching out to people on the phone. It's not really my thing. It's not. I'm not even gonna say it's not really my thing. I'm littling it. It's not my thing. I just. I love to talk. I have a whole podcast, so obviously I like to talk, but I like to talk in person. I like to have that interaction face to face. On the phone, it is draining, and that is an energy leak. So no, I'm not going to initiate that. But what I have said is that I don't mind you reaching out to me. If you reach out to me, I will make time for you. That is what I can do. But I'm intentional about telling people that, so that I don't have any guilt when I'm just like, oh, I haven't heard from blah, blah, blah. If I haven't heard from them and it's on my heart, I will reach out. Hey, love you. I'm not even starting conversations. I'm just letting people know I'm thinking of them, because sometimes I just don't have the energy for that. I don't have it. So
I like that.
Yeah,
so much better than, hey, how are you? It's just
right.
like, no, I'm gonna get straight to the point. Was thinking about you.
Yeah, love you. Hope you're well.
Love you. Yeah. Wishing you the best, or whatever it is you need to say.
Exactly. And so that is one of the areas in my life where I'm feeling less and less guilt about, especially because I'm meeting new people and I'm letting them know up front. For my older friends or friends that I've been with for a while, it was very difficult to kind of put that in place. My siblings, all that kind of stuff. I was very much like, okay, wanting to be in communication a lot more frequently, because I didn't want them to feel away. Like, because we're not in communication, I don't feel like they don't love me. Like, it's never about that for me, but it was me wanting them to feel like, okay, let me do this for you. But now I'm slowly allowing myself grace for who I am, and not feeling guilt about the fact that I don't want to do that.
Right.
So I'm releasing guilt, and it's slow. It's slow, because sometimes I'll talk to my niece and nephew and I'm like, okay, you could be doing better. Da, da, da. Like, I still have those moments where I'm just like, okay, but slowly but surely, I'm just sitting in this feels good.
I love that.
And the more I sit in this feels good, the more I want to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think you hit on a key point, like just knowing what feels good to you and having your own understanding, because I can't force anybody to have my understanding. The only thing I have is my understanding of why I'm doing things, which is my intention.
Yeah.
So, like right now, I have somebody who's called me probably twice in the last month, and I haven't called them back because it takes so much energy for me to call them. And I think before I call them back, I need to revisit. I need to think on why it takes so much energy to speak to this
Yeah.
individual. And if this is
Yes.
somebody I want to keep in contact with, and it's a lot of like I should because they're nice, but nice is what like that's like the baseline. That's bare minimum,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know. What the you know, this person also asked me to do something which, you know, I haven't had the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's part of it too.
I
But
got you.
I do need to think about what I want my correspondence with this person to look like because I see them call and I'm just like I watch them call.
Damn. Damn.
And I'm like, dang, they left a voicemail. Dang.
That must be serious.
I'm like, damn, I'm probably gonna have to call them back this time. And I don't want to feel that way about anybody that I speak to because other people call me and answer right away. Hey, what's up?
Right.
You know? So
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what that's about.
Yeah. And I think that's all we can do is really just sit with ourselves. And it's so funny that as rough as retrograde was, I feel like it's is sometimes needed to be sat down
Right.
and like,
Yeah.
no, you gonna think about this shit. I don't want to.
So it's forced us to be intentional. That's what you're
It's forced
telling
us to
me.
be intentional. It's forcing us to sit and say, well, why does this person make me feel this way? Okay, sit with it
Right.
and come up with your answer and then respond accordingly. But I don't know. I think our messages were very similar and I appreciate you for sharing. And yeah, because it does definitely helps to not feel like I'm alone.
Right. Right.
um, but anyway, I guess are we ready now to get into this episode and
Yeah,
dig
let's
it
do it.
down?
I feel like we're there.
Okay.
We've set intention like at least 10
A
times.
million times. But before we go all the way in, I want to tell them what the agenda is. So I will turn that back over to you and you can let the people know what the agenda for this episode is.
Okay. So the agenda for this episode, as always, is to dig it down. So that's our format. And it stands for define, impact, and cope. So as you guessed it, this whole episode is about, you know, setting intentions, being intentional, what an
Mm-hmm.
intention is, and defining that for ourselves. So that's the first thing we'll do in the define section is we're going to
Mm-hmm.
explore, define what an intention is, and reflect on the intentions that we've set for ourselves at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we discuss the impact of that intention we set, how we've seen it, show up in our lives so far.
Yeah.
And lastly, we talk about how we cope, like, and which is pretty much how we move forward from here. What's our understanding? What's our experiences? What's our feelings of everything that we just talked about? And how do we want to walk with this information from here on
Yeah.
out?
Yeah.
So we also make each section clearly known. So feel free to pause throughout the sections to give yourself time to answer. And that's only if you want to. You can jot down your answers. You could just kind of sit with it for yourself. Do what feels right for you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That was really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. And then we did have a why this topic's part, and I forgot. So we'll just tell you guys now why we chose this. So this was my topic. I brought it up because we're halfway through the year, and it's about time to evaluate and see how what we have intended for ourselves has shown up in our lives, and to refresh our understanding of that intention. And why did you agree, Mina?
I mean, for the same reason. I mean, we set this
Yeah.
intention when you brought it up. I was like, oh yeah, it is a 6 month mark. So I do need to check in.
Mhm.
So as soon as she said, I was like, yeah, it's time to do that.
You was
It's
down
time.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. All right. So now we are to the definition portion of the podcast. And what I'm going to do is define intention. And so according to our sponsor, Google.
Speak it into existence.
Hey, glory. Hallelujah.
No, seriously, if you want to sponsor us, we can do this.
We can do this, Google. Holler at a player. I know y'all listening anyway.
Right? Listen to every damn thing.
Right. JK, they are not our sponsors, but they do define, and that's Google defines intention as an aim or a plan. And so my intention, my aim, my plan for this year was to focus. And the reason that I chose that is so that I can hone in on what I am, who I am, and where I want to go. So that is the definition of intention and what my intention was for the year.
Okay. First, I want to say I really vibe with that Google definition.
Right?
because I think that's pretty much what I said back in January.
Yeah.
I said my intention is, it's a statement of what I hope to achieve, gain, learn, and do for myself. So yeah, aim or plan. They just put it more succinctly. Um, and my intention for the year was intuition.
Yeah.
And I had set that because I wanted to get to know myself. I wanted to get to know myself, know what belonged to me. And it's funny, in my mess, I feel like the retrograde really happened around the 6-month mark of us setting our intention. And I really feel like it kind of rerouted me. It was like, hey, you remember we're supposed to be tapping into our feelings and see how we feel about stuff and feeling stuff out. Remember? You're supposed to be thinking about that, reflecting on that, observing that. Yeah, so you're going to sit down and do all of that.
Yeah. That's what you're about to do right now.
Right. So it just reading this out, I'm like, okay, this is still my goal. This is still it, and I feel like it's more like kind of hammered in for me. I'm like, nah, this is really what we're doing. This is really what we need this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my definition.
Okay. Dope. I feel like it's so interesting how you never really know what the setting of an intention is going to actually look like. And I think that brings me to the impact, actually. So for me, the impact of choosing focus is that I have been inundated with a plethora of things, opportunities, meeting new people. There's new ways that are being invented for me to not remain focused. And I'm having to really sit with what actually makes me happy, much like I was saying earlier, and what I'm doing to just stay busy. I'm having to. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Wait, no. Okay, so you're saying this has highlighted the way it's shown up for you so far is that there's distractions have been created. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, essentially, there's like.
Okay.
I think it's not even, I don't know if I would call it a distraction, but I would call it a will you, won't you, like a choice. It's like a choice. I'm having to say, okay, given left or right, are you going to choose left or right? You don't have to focus. Which one do you have? And I'm getting to that, that's what I was going to say, because I think because there are so many things happening, I'm having to choose where to focus my attention. I'm having to say, okay, given that I only have 24 hours in the day and there are 50 things that I've been invited to do, which of those things are actually going to bring me joy? Which of those things will actually be more exciting to head toward for my goal? Which of these people will be, joyous people to be around? So it's really creating the need for focus, and so the honest impact is that it's been exhausting.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm grateful for another 6 months to gather myself, because Lord of mercy, the universe is teaching me what I asked it to teach me, child. I'm having to learn how to focus. And the truth is I'm tired.
Okay.
No, but it's like, go ahead. You were gonna say something.
No, I just had a question, but I can ask after you finish.
No, I mean, I was just saying, like, it's very interesting. And we've always said this, and I think we said it even in the very first time we did this, like, intention setting episode, is that, it never looks how you think, or maybe it's going to be the opposite. You ask for, I don't know, you ask for something and you get it in a whole different way. And I've known that to some extent, that when you ask for patience, you're going to be given situations where your patience is tested so that you can show yourself approved. Like, how are you going to ask for something and then never have to put it to the test? Like, so that's something I knew at a base level, but just this year coming out of the retrograde, that's been some of my understanding of, like, wow, okay, I asked for focus and I'm having a hard time because it's just like boom, 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 boom. Do this. You want to come here? Want to do that? Oh, I got this job for you. Oh, does you want to do that? Oh, here's a new job. Like, it's just so boop, 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 boop. And I'm having to go like, ooh, and like really hone in. Like, I'm being taught this lesson, and that shit is tiring. I'm tired. But no, I mean, that's been the impact,
Okay.
So You have questions.
I have several questions that just popped up. First,
Okay.
I was kind of like, when you said, it's like, when you say you want to learn patience, then you get these experiences where your patience is tested so that you can build up that patience muscle. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that why I've been in my feelings so much?
Maybe.
Because the whole thing is intuition and kind of figuring out what I feel. And I feel like I've just been like feeling things really strongly. And I've been forced to sit and be like, how do I feel about this? Why am I feeling this way about this? And I'm just like, oh, so that's how you're gonna play it? That's how we're playing this. Like intuition is just something that I'm just like, I don't know what I thought it was gonna look like. And I stayed open to it. But it's like, hey, you said you want to get to know yourself, so you're gonna have to feel. You're gonna have to intuit. You're gonna have to like feel those gut feelings and those reactions and be able to decipher it. And I feel like that's what I've been dealing with. And that's also been taking up a lot of energy. But pertaining to your impact, this is my question for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
So when you went in, when you set your intention and you said focus, did you have an idea of what you wanted to focus on? Was there like an expectation of kind of what that focus would be directed at?
It wasn't so much concrete, but yes, I had a hope that I could, cause so the year before was Thrive, and I just kind of allowed myself to be and be carried with the wind this way and that way. And it was a beautiful year. This year, I know that my passion lies in the arts, in creating, in that realm. And so I've been working on like focusing on doing that. Like how does that look? So it was really about, do I really want this thing? So for if you know me, like in real life, you know that I'm a singer, and so I've been like wrestling with myself, like, do I want to be like a singer? You know, and I haven't like fully stamped it out. Like I said, I'm still focusing on that, but this year has allowed me to kind of put words around the fact that I think I want to use singing in my creativity. I want to do singing and acting. I want to maybe write music. I don't know that I necessarily want to perform as a singer. And like that has been heavy for me because I feel like it was an expectation that other people had and that maybe I had for myself because I'm an excellent singer. I'm a professional singer. I've been paid for it and this and that. But would I rather sing on stage in a musical or in the opera or on Broadway, or would I rather be out here, you know, doing concerts every night? And so it's like that was what I was hoping for this year, is to come to some clarity about who I am overall as a human, as an artist, as a friend, as a sibling. Like, who am I? Focus on that and really hone in on it, because then I feel like I'll be moving in my purpose. You know, there's so much other stuff. Like, I guess it's kind of what you're saying about like wading through what's mine and what's other people's, what's been put on me, what's been an expectation that people have of me. So I guess the focus was really just trying to like really find me. I wanted to focus on finding me. And that's creatively, emotionally, because I still have a lot of healing to do emotionally. Just all of those things. So yeah, I've just been inundated with like so much shit that I'm really having to like learn how to fucking focus. Like I'm just like, fuck. But yeah, so that was my hope in setting that intention.
Okay. You pretty much answered already like this question that I didn't even ask, because I was going to ask you, okay, so what was your intention really when you said focus? And then I was going to follow up with, how have you seen it kind of change? Do you feel like the intention to focus, do you feel like your expectation or your focus on that, is it the same? Like, I'm having a hard time phrasing.
I was like, I'm not understanding the question. Okay, try again.
I think you already answered it, and I think that's why it's hard for me to ask it, because you know, I asked, what did you want to do when you like, what was your vision for focus, and you pretty much said it was to kind of figure out where you wanted to go creatively. You wanted to focus on your creative endeavors,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you would have just stopped at that, then my question would have been like, is that still your focus? I think that's it.
Oh, gotcha.
Your focus.
Gotcha.
I went all the way around to. Do you
It's
feel
okay.
like that's still your focus?
Do I feel like that's still my focus? I feel like it's expanded to everything that I just said. So yes, creatively, but definitely emotionally, definitely financially, definitely spiritually, definitely just focusing in on the full body of who I am. I think those last couple of years, I've just felt overwhelmed by having to discover myself outside of being in a partnership for over a decade. It felt overwhelming is the least of the word. That's like the smallest word I could use is how it felt. And so this year I felt like I was ready. It's still heavy. It's still a fucking lie. It's still like, what? But yeah, it's definitely expanded. It's that plus some of just focusing on how when I wake up in the morning, I can feel like me. How can this has been on repeat in my head, rest in your body. Like I want to be in my body. I want to be here on earth, living the life that I was blessed to have, because for a long time I was elsewhere. I don't know where I was, but I wasn't here. And so,
It's in purgatory somewhere.
Exactly.
Like neither heaven or hell, just floating in this, just in between.
Floating. Right. And so, it's that plus. And like we said, I think in the very first episode, all these intentions will continue to come with us. So thriving and focus and all that, it will continue to come. But that I felt ready this year to really be like, all right, Jess, like, what's up? What's up, my guy? So.
Okay. I like that. So it sounds like you realize that there's more to focus on than just being creative, that you want to focus on more. You want to focus on your creativity, yes, because it's a part of you, but then you also want to focus on all these other things. And a thing that sticks out to me, because, I feel it in my impact as well, is that energy has a lot to do with it. So for me, intuition was my whole thing. And part of me kind of getting the impact for me, getting an understanding of my intuition I've been using what drains my energy to kind of be a marker for how I feel, and if this feels good or if it doesn't feel good. So even in your mess,
and I think
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No. I'm sorry. I was just saying that I think it's important to remove guilt from these moments where you feel like something's draining you. And I feel like that is something that a lot of us struggle with. I'll say for myself, I struggle with feeling like, damn, I don't want to think that friend is draining me. But if you always call me and it's always about the negative shit that's happening in your life, that's an exhausting call. It's not that I don't want to hear, I don't want to be there for you, but that's exhausting to be there, to be empathetic, to be a listening ear, to hold that space for you. If that's mostly what we talk about, it's going to be harder for me to answer your call or want to give you that, energy frequently. And so I'm like releasing the guilt in that also. And I think that's very important when you think about these places or things that are draining you, is to work on not feeling guilty about even just admitting like that's draining.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I'm kind of shocked and happy that, like, because I usually feel pretty guilty, but the impact has been in me just saying, this year I'm going to honor my feelings. I'm going to feel what I feel.
That. Yeah.
Part of that is doing it without guilt. So monitoring my energy and just admitting to myself the truth, like, this drains me. So I've been noticing that. And then to kind of bring it back to your focus, it just seems like in these decisions that you have to make, where you choose where to focus, a lot of it is about managing your energy and saying, okay, how much energy are you going to give to this? How much energy are you going to give to that? Are you going to give energy to this at all?
Right.
And it's just, I just think it's so cool that energy seems to be like this current, this common current through both of our intention. So maybe intention is really about energy. I mean, yeah, it's about energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
It's really powerful. But what was, is that all your intention or was there more?
There's more. Like, I mean,
Or
that was
not
just
intention, I'm sorry,
my
your
impact.
impact. Yeah.
So the impact for me overall is that I've been feeling a lot, and I've been
Mhm.
allowing myself to feel, and it has taken up energy because I'm spending so much time really just really listening. I feel like
Yeah.
I sit there sometimes and I just say, okay, how do you feel? And I'm really,
Mhm.
really listening for an answer. Not like a
Yeah.
bullshit answer. Like I'm really feeling stuff in my body. And I don't even think I was aware that I was doing it. Like,
Oh, wow.
I was so excited for doing this check-in because I really had thought that I forgot my intention. But now
Yeah.
just kind of talking about this, I'm like, no, you've been intentional. Maybe maybe it's been more subconscious. It's not so overt and me like trying to be intentional. It's
Yeah.
just something that is just happening. Like
Mm.
I've had emotional moments where I've cried and I've realized that after I cry, I feel better. And then I'm like, oh, that's a tool. I'm gonna just go ahead and cry. I'm gonna keep that. You know,
Period.
I'm telling you, look, crying is like the best thing. It is
It
the
is.
best thing. Just take a good 15 minutes to cry about it, and then all of a sudden you're like, all that whatever pent up energy or feelings you had, it literally gets
Dissipates.
it dissipates, it
Yeah.
gets washed out, and then
Yeah.
you can see things more clearly. And maybe
Yeah.
that's just it.
I
We do
can see
accumulate.
clearly now the tears are gone.
You better sing it, interrupting me and everything, but it's
Sorry.
lovely. So it's lovely. So I'll allow it.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
But I'm realizing that I pick up like we acquire like energetic muck at times, and you need
Mm,
to
mhm.
cry to cleanse that shit out.
Yeah.
Like crying
Yeah.
isn't weak, crying isn't a bad thing because I've cried and then I've gone on to do some real strong ass shit. Like
That's dope.
so I'm just like that's really been the impact that I've just been sitting there and listening to myself and
Yeah.
giving myself permission to feel how I feel and asking myself what I want. Like that's the question that's really been popping up for me lately.
Mhm.
Like asking myself what I want and visualizing things that I want and then feeling this
Yeah.
excitement. Feeling if there's excitement there or feeling like if there's hesitation. Like what is
Okay.
that? Like, okay,
Right.
visualize yourself doing this. This is what you want to do. How does that feel? I'm like, oh, I feel like I
Right.
could just jump up out this chair and go do it. Okay,
Right.
great. We like this. We like
Right.
this. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
You know,
Right.
but then there's other things where I think about it, I'm just kind of, I don't know. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not really too sure. And then it's like, okay, you need to kind of figure out is it a narrative that's making you feel this way? Or if there's something you
Uh,
genuinely don't want to do. And there's a lot of things that like I've carried over with me because we change over the years.
yeah, we do.
But like you said, we cling to things, relationships, we cling to
Mhm.
goals and dreams. And it's like, hey, if this goal is making you feel like every time you think about it is draining your energy, maybe we need to consider if this is something that's you need to be putting your energy towards.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
you think of other things, you're like, oh, let me jump up and go figure out how to do it. And then this
Yeah.
other thing, it's like, I'm like, ah. So I was like, is it fear? Is it
That's what I was just
fear?
about to say. Wow. Yeah.
Like, is it fear or is it you don't want to do this? And
Right.
I'm stuck there between those
Okay.
two feelings.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to work on for the next 6 months. Kind of
Yeah.
say, is it fear or you just really don't want to do this shit?
Right. And I think if it's something that's like your passion and it's like you're scared to do it or you don't want to do it, it's most likely fear.
Yeah.
Like I have some stuff about like, yeah, yeah. But yeah, that resonates. It's fear. But sometimes, you're right. It is, you just don't want to do it.
Yeah. I've I've realized like so another thing I've done is part of my mess and I didn't really mention it was
Hmm.
I cleared out the storage container with like all of my mom's belongings. I didn't clear it fully
All right.
out, but
Hmm.
I began the process.
Okay.
It can be like 3 years to get to this point to begin the process. It got to the point where
Wow.
not only was it draining my energy when I thought about it, it was draining my pockets. And those are
Listen.
two things I don't want. You cannot take my energy and my money. Like,
Right.
come on now.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you. I need to do that because I'm proud of you because I done had a storage since 2006.
Damn. Oh,
Ah,
oh, Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But I'm proud of you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, it's because I really I feel, and I
Mhm.
could genuinely say that I feel that I need to clear out junk,
Yeah,
stuff that does not belong to me,
I
and
got you.
that stuff in storage. There was only two things I wanted
Yeah.
in that whole storage container, and I don't want anything else that's in there. And there was some guilt wrapped up in it, like, oh, you grew up with that. That's nice. I grew up with that. That's nice.
Right.
And, I have like my mom's awards and stuff. And I'm like, what do I do with somebody else's accomplishments? You
Right.
know? Like, what do
Right.
I do with that? I'm like, she's no longer here. I know she did these things. I hope she
Right.
knows she did these things.
Yeah.
So, um, but like the high I felt as I just saw him pile some of that stuff to haul it away. And what it was is like I had a sofa set because for some reason I thought I was gonna like reuse that sofa set.
Mhm.
That never happened. I went and bought the
Yeah.
sofa of my dreams, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have space for this sofa anymore. This is the sofa that
Right.
this was the sofa she wanted.
Right.
And just the process of doing it, I donated it. I donated it. Like I could have held on to it under the premise that I was going to sell it, and I'm like, I do not have the energetic space to attempt to sell this. It's not worth my energy. I want to
Right.
donate it to somebody who hopefully can get a good deal on this sofa from the thrift store.
Right.
And it all just aligned so perfectly. So I'm just realizing how I feel about things and how I just need to there's something that wants to come through for me.
Mhm.
And I have a lot of old stuff. And I have to go
Mm.
through the grieving process, the sorting
Mhm.
process, and I have to
Mhm.
let it go. And
Yeah.
this right here was a big step. I feel so enthusiastic. I'm like, what else can I get rid of at this point? Like
Yeah.
I just feel
Yeah.
this need to purge because I really I like nice things. And I have a
You
lot of
with
nice
all those shoes? That's
ex-
crazy.
that's honestly another thing that I've kind of been looking at.
Uh-oh.
I kind of look to the side sometimes. I'm like, why you got all this? Or and it's not even that I don't. There are certain shoes that I think I'm done with style wise, but I
Okay.
hold on to them because of either value or like hype. Being like, oh, I
Mhm.
got these, and it's
Mhm.
like you're not wearing them. You
Mhm.
should sell them and get your money back and pay off a credit card. That's what you should.
Hello?
So that's one thing that I'm feeling is bubbling up. It's like bubbling
Mhm.
up my spine. Like, okay, it's getting here. It's getting here. It's
Yeah.
gonna hit here soon. And then you're
Yeah.
gonna say you need to sell this shit.
Right.
And it's not all about money. That's one thing I've learned. I've realized that about myself.
Mhm.
As much as I want money, it is not like my main priority. That the
Yeah.
joy and the peace, that right there is my main feeling. That's the main thing I'm going for. It's not
Yeah.
a dollar amount.
Mhm.
And I've really confirmed that for me recently. I will sell things for retail or sell it just to have that space for my
Mhm.
peace.
Mhm.
If I don't get what like top dollar for it, that's fine. At this point, I want to release things with grace and say I hope whoever receives this appreciates it, does the work they need to do to resell it and get whatever maximum profit, whatever they got to do.
Right.
But this is no longer serving me, and it's a source of an energy drain. So I
Yeah.
just want my energy back for what I needed to
Mhm.
do. So I'm like I said, I'm just feeling excited. So that's my impact. My impact is that I'm feeling what feels good to me and what makes me excited. And if it doesn't, then I'm letting it go. I'm going through the process of clearing it and letting it
I love that. I love that. Um, well then I guess that brings us to our cope.
go. It
Yeah.
does. It does.
Um, so for myself, I'm coping with grace, obviously, because
Mhm.
how I thought it was going to be and how it is, two horses of a different color.
Mm.
I am very grateful for the opportunities. Oh, that's something my mom used to say.
I
It's
was
very
like,
country.
"What?" I was like, you saw that. I was like,
I
whoa,
saw
oh,
you. I
oh.
never heard that one. It might be country. I don't know. Becky used to say it, so that's what I said. But that just, that just means it's just entirely different than what I thought. I am grateful for the opportunities that are presenting themselves to me. The reason why I feel so inundated is because there's lots of things being presented to me. I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the chance to um, hone in on what is me and who I am, and to really cultivate this place. I was walking the other day. I went out last night, which is why I hope I don't sound too dead to y'all, but a bitch is tired. But I went out last night, and as I was walking back home from my car, I sat in this moment and I was like, this is the life that you wanted. And I just kind of like sat in there and I just felt it. And I was like, wow. Like, so I'm on my way.
And it feels good.
It
When you see it in
feels
that moment, it
good.
feels
It
good.
feels amazing. And I am, like I said, I am grateful and I'm giving myself grace during the process, because while I have all these amazing things, I'm not gonna lie, finding yourself is hard. It's hard fucking work. It is hard work. It's exhausting and sometimes emotionally battering. Like, it's a lot because you have to really sit with yourself and say, okay, you're doing this to yourself. And
Yeah.
so but all in all, I cope with grace and gratitude like always, um and just a hope that I am that I continue to just go with the flow and go with an understanding and go with this peace and go with this joy and just really continue to allow myself to just be without so much guidance and so much like maintenance of how I should. I just want to live in this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. So I don't know. Grace and gratitude really is the way to go for me for this
Right.
episode. What about you? How are you coping?
Oh, I'm definitely coping with gratitude. I'm coping with gratitude in so many ways. Like I just explained, kind of as I'm releasing things,
Yeah.
releasing them with the hope that someone else will appreciate it, and I'd
Mhm.
be grateful that I contributed to someone else's joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, being grateful for the space, for
Mhm.
being able to clear up space, and being grateful for what will come in its place.
Yeah.
Because now that I'm feeling I'm like, I know what's coming is for me, and I know I'll be able to recognize it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I feel like I'm kind of two horses of different color, to use your term, if I'm explaining it or understanding it correctly,
Uh-huh.
because there's like a part of me that like I had this idealistic idea of what I thought life should be. And then there's this other part of me, that this visual that I'm starting to see. And
Mhm.
like I don't recognize that person,
Mhm.
but it feels peaceful. Whatever they're feeling, it
Yeah.
feels real peaceful.
Yeah.
Like I thought to myself recently, I'm like, I think I want to go camping alone.
Ooh.
Like I want to do and my dog. I mean, he can't really protect me, but
He can alert you.
he can alert me and we can run off together, and I'm sure
Exactly.
he'll make it. He'll make it.
That sounded real hopeful.
No, he will. No,
Okay,
no.
good.
Like he's been training for this his whole life.
Wow,
Like
already, huh?
he's ready. So, but I'm like, since when do you want to go camping? Like I've been feeling this pull to want to be more involved with nature.
Mm.
And this is not something that I would describe myself as,
Yeah.
even a year ago. So
Mhm.
there's these pieces of me, these wants, these things that I've been thinking, and they've been exciting me. And so I'm leaning with this new awareness that I'm getting, being grateful for this understanding, being grateful for being able to see, because I had a hard time even visualizing just what I wanted. And that is so important when it comes to manifesting, visualizing things.
Right.
Um, so just leaning into being grateful that I'm at a point where I can feel and I can tell myself the truth, and I can tell the difference between what's mine and what's not mine.
Mhm.
Um, and being grateful that I'm more intentional in general, that I am being intentional, because I wasn't
Yeah.
being intentional before when I erected this idea of what I wanted out of life. It wasn't
Mhm.
intentional. It wasn't rooted in how I felt. It was rooted in what I saw and what I
Mm.
thought I wanted as a result of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I'm just like, it scares me a little, the vision that I see, because I'm like, that is so different than what I am used to. But I'm like, if it gives me that feeling, I'm gonna follow it. I'm gonna follow it.
Period.
For me, that's mainly gratitude. Is really how I'm coping. I just want to be
Yeah.
thankful for what I'm going to receive, and whatever I give out to people, whatever I release, I hope that whoever finds it, comes across it, that they'll be thankful for it, and that, it's something that will bring joy to their lives. That's, you know, the money's already spent, the time is already
Right.
spent, you
Right.
know, and I'm in the present.
Mhm.
I want to create space for me,
Yeah.
my full authentic me.
I love that. I love that. Um, so I guess that brings us to the recap then.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So the recap is that life moves fast. And sometimes you think you've lost sight of your intentions, and then you realize the things that you were doing is actually because of the intention.
Hmm.
And so for me, sometimes your intention looks totally opposite of how you pictured it was going to look.
Hmm.
And it's making you, it's teaching you the lessons that you asked for.
Hmm.
In my case, it's teaching me how to focus, because there's so much going on in the world that I have to, in order to figure it out. Either way, we give ourselves grace to see it through.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, is there any shout outs that you want to do now?
I'm just gonna do a general shout out. Just shout out to everybody who is, really sitting with themselves and thinking
Yeah.
about what they want for themselves and being intentional. And even those who, just shout out to everybody who's just doing their best
Hmm.
to build the lives that they want, that they desire.
Yeah.
Um, and some people have an understanding that being intentional and being more mindful is the way to go about it. Some people aren't there yet, but either way, I just want people to have the life that they want and they deserve.
Yeah, I love that. What a beautiful shout out. I would like to shout out my friend that I met here in LA maybe 2 weeks ago. Her name is Dee, and she told me about this episode, this podcast episode. She said it had changed her life. And I was like, okay, I'll listen to it. And I listened to it, and it has really been helping me these past few weeks really try to hone in on my home frequency. And I think that's dope. So I appreciate you for telling me about that episode. And I do just want to shout out to all of you still listening. If you are listening and you like this episode, when we post that it is live, just come and give us a thumbs up on the comments. We would love that. That would be great. Thank you so much.
I love that.
And now we are to my favorite part. If you are new, this is the meditation. What we do is take a couple breaths. We set an intention, take another few breaths, and then I let you go about your day. So, what I want you to do for me is to take a big, deep breath. We'll take a second deep breath. We'll take one more deep breath. All right, and now it's time to set our intention. I intend to continue allowing the universe to teach me focus. I continue to sit with myself so that I am, at the end of it all, able to understand who I truly am.
Okay. It is my intention to continue to use my intuition to help me feel so that I can clear out space and free up energy to prepare me for what I desire.
I love that. I love that. All right, we'll take our last set of breaths. Take another deep breath with me. We'll take a second deep breath. And we'll take our last deep breath. All right, your intentions have been set for the day. Go out there and flourish, sis. Today doesn't have to be a mess.
But it's okay if it is.
So, Liz, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in again. We really appreciate your continued support. You guys have been on this journey with us. You've grown with us, learned so much about us. And we just want to thank you. We want to thank you for just believing in us and fucking with us, really. And I think that's it. Is there anything else we need to say, Rena?
Nope, that's it. I just appreciate all of you and just, yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to catch y'all on the flip side.
Peace.
Peace. It's a mess.
Hey, that's what I can do.
It's
I
a
can't
mess.
sing.
It's okay. He's gonna talk over my singing though. Okay, it's ready now.